Welcome back to Skilled Nation, where we spotlight the people and programs shaping the next generation of skilled professionals. I'm your host, Jimmy Rhodes. Today, we're in for a real treat. Our guests are often the first faces many students meet, guiding them through the decisions that can truly change their lives. But before we get into all that, if you like what you're hearing or want to explore your own path, well, hit subscribe and leave a review so you can stay connected with Skilled Nation. Now, let's welcome Alessandra Christie and James Walker all the way in from Jacksonville, Florida, home of the Tulsa Welding School's East Coast campus. They're two of the people on the front lines of opportunity, admissions counselors who help students take that first big step into the trades. They'll share what it's really like guiding students through life-changing decisions, why so many are rethinking traditional education, what questions future tradespeople ask most, and how a single conversation can change an entire career path, and sometimes a life. So if you've ever wondered what it takes to just get started, or what kind of support is waiting for you when you do, well, this is the episode that pulls back that curtain. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show. A lot of people still picture a traditional, four-year college when they think about higher education. But from your perspective, how is a trade school a different experience for someone, especially someone who's more hands-on? Alessandra, start with you.
Well, when you're getting to know the person on the other line, that's where you're really having to dive into what their goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to have a natural conversation with them so that we can find out what it is they're trying to accomplish. And 9 times out of 10, when you find out a little bit more about their background, whether it be, working in construction or working in warehouse, that natural question is, are you more of a hands-on person? And 9 times out of 10, yes, they are, And so, going into skilled trade, they can do that in 7 months, and they're not having to deal with any of those types of prerequisites. They're not having to wait 4 years to get to a goal line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really understanding what their needs are and when they're trying to meet those needs. So when you're dealing with traditional school, yeah, it's really great to have a piece of paper on the wall, You've got this amazing bachelor's degree or this amazing master's degrees, and I never knock any type of education whatsoever. Whatever your goal is, go for it, right? But when you're trying to make a change in your life and you're trying to do it sooner rather than later, a traditional college is not going to give you a quicker timeline. Whereas if you go into a trade, it's going to give you that quicker timeline. Our programs are 7 months, and we do have a 9-month one, but they focus on the trade itself. And so they really are learning hands-on the trade. Yes, there's an academic side to it, but more so they're getting to do it and they're getting to feel it. And when they come out of it, they are a professional welder. They are an electrical technician. They are an HVAC and refrigeration technician, and they have a career to go to, right?
Yeah.
So, and
within
I always, within a year,
crazy.
less than a year. And then, I also, remind them that, if traditional route, how many people do that are around you that did do the, 4-year, they got their bachelor's and they got their master's. And meanwhile, they're your favorite bank teller cashing that check.
Yeah.
So, I remind them that if that is not their goal and what they're trying to do is, provide a better life for their family or just for themselves, and give themselves that feeling of accomplishment, and to be able to, be a part of community.
Yeah.
Because the type of students that we deal with and the conversations that we have, I find that more than not, they want to know how they can contribute and feel good about what they're doing, but also be able to have a stable lifestyle, right? And so when you start really having a natural conversation with somebody and being able to find out really what their goals are, you find that a trade is going to fit them much better than them waiting, because they really honestly don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
You
bring up a really interesting point, James. I mean, there's, as you've said, you hear people who I studied, European literature from the 1400s and whatever, and now they're doing something that has no relation to that. This is really a connected dot, right? Because what you're studying is what you're going to be doing, right?
Correct.
And some people are what would you call it? Kinetic learners,
Yes.
touch learners, tactile learners. So, I mean, what is the path that you see people coming in? And also, what is the first point of contact? How do you normally have this conversation? By phone, over, email? How's it happening?
So majority of the time it is by phone. First call, of course, they're like, well, how did you get my information? Well, you reached out. You wanted to change your life. Once they get on the phone and we have that conversation and we go through everything and they're telling me, pouring into me what's going on in their life and why they want to change their life, then the next thing I tell them is, hey, I can help you. No matter what it is, I don't care how ugly it is, whatever, I can help you. And once we get them on campus and then we actually go through and start deep diving and figuring out which trade actually fits their lifestyle, then they start to see a better picture. We start painting that big picture because now at that point they can see themselves actually in the trade and they can actually see themselves providing for their family or getting out of whatever the rut was that they were in. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Well, you're talking too about, you mentioned maybe somebody's in a warehouse situation, whatever. What about the people that come in and have no exposure? Maybe they were in a family where there weren't tools around, they didn't have access to a shop, and they're just starting from absolute ground zero. I mean, do you need people to come in with some base level of skills, or can you take them from zero?
Those are the best students.
Yeah, those are actually the best ones.
Why are they the best?
Because
that's so unintuitive.
Because we have amazing instructors, right? So they're there to teach them the actual trade. So if you're not coming, as they say, with like bad habits or ways that somebody else has taught you maybe on the job, then the instructors are able to like teach them and guide them the right way. And they're learning it in the most professional way. And so when they come out, they have all the necessary skills, but they're also getting the guidance from actual welders, HVAC technicians, electricians that are teaching them this is the real world, this is how it is. So they're not just getting taught how to, do it. They're learning about the trade at the same time. So they get that real world experience from beginning. And then it's really cool to see somebody who, they are nervous when they come in because they're taking, in life there's risk and you cannot make a change unless you take risk. And then you see that nervousness go away and that light bulb come off and they're like, man, I can do this and I'm actually really, really good at it. And that is just the coolest feeling in the world when they come to you and they're just like, dude, I have an A in this class, and it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up confidence.
Yes.
If you're coming in with, very little exposure and you're there with a peer group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your classmates are in there because it's a very hands-on thing. I mean, it's like once you're putting hands on something, that you need some confidence. How do you help with the confidence with students who just might feel exposed?
So one of the ways that we like to do it is we stay with the students for the entire 7 months.
Okay.
So whether it's a good day, bad day, whatever, come find us, or we'll be out there in the shop. We always check in. We want to make sure that they are doing good. And it's a family at Tulsa. It's not crabs in a bucket. So it's not like, I got to come to the table with a 3.0 off rip. No, you got people that's beside you that never even thought about, doing anything. You have, if you're in the electrical side, you got people that never done anything physical, manual, or anything. The closest they came to any electricity was just screwing in a light bulb, So it's one of those things where we're not putting them in a class with basically graduates. We're putting them in a class and they're starting where it's ground zero. Everybody whether you came from a background or whatnot, ground zero.
And like you said, you don't have to unlearn anything
Exactly.
if you're coming in.
Right.
And the instructors probably love that because
Right.
there's not
Exactly.
untraining before training.
Correct. And we do a crawl, walk, run. So it's not like we're just throwing you in the field and telling you, hey, go screw, go and run those wires or go and run me this pass or whatnot. No, it's just like riding a bike. You have your training wheels on. Dad got his hand on your back. We're going to walk with you. And eventually we'll start taking those training wheels off. And then eventually you'll just be running. You'll go.
Yeah, and that's a great moment, I'm sure. We're talking with Alessandra Christie and James Walker. They are admissions counselors at the Tulsa Welding School, which is the East Coast campus and headquarters. So when you're talking to potential students, what really gets them fired up? Is there a career, or is it different for every student you talk to? That's really the magnet drawing them in.
It's different. It's really different for every student. Because depending on where their background is, or what is going on right then and there in their life, the moment you dissect it and you tell them, I can help you, that's when they get fired up. Because a lot of times we deal with a lot of people who the world basically chewed up and spit out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is perfect. Everyone has a past. So to come to Tulsa and know, hey, James, Allie, and a team, or any admissions rep they get in front of can actually help me change my life and turn the page and create a new chapter in life, that's what gets them. We've had them crying, blowing snot bubbles, calling mom, dad, sister, brother, pastor. I got accepted, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that, hey, these people talked to me like a human being. They saw me for who I was and actually gave me a chance.
Do you have to kind of guide them by listening into, for instance, if they know they're a hands-on person, but they don't know what trade path they want to go? How do you determine that? What's that conversation sound like?
That's where you have to like make sure that when you're talking with them, you know, that you have to have a natural conversation with somebody. The same thing as if like you were making a decision, like, I don't know if this is right for me. You know, what I'm doing, I don't feel valued, right? And our job is to uncover that with them, you know, by being able to guide them, like, talk to me about that. Why do you not feel valued? You know, what is going on that's making you feel like that you've hit a wall? Or, you know, what else is going on, you know? And you just have to have, like James was saying, a deep dive conversation to find out, like, they have to come out of their comfort zone. You know, a lot of times people are guarded when you're talking to them because they don't know what path to take. They know they want to make a change, but they just don't know what direction, you know. We're not here to really tell them, hey, you're going to be great at being a professional welder. We don't know that yet. But what we do know is that we're here to help you make whatever change is going to feel right for you. So, you know, when we invite them in, it's for a discovery. It's for a career consultation to be able to sit down and say, you know, let's take a walk around. Let's talk about some curriculums. Let's feel the environment. Every single person that I work with, I let them know that not only can we talk about it, you know, we're going to, you know, yeah, we can break down a curriculum, but we're not going to, you know, just shove some like website, hey, fill this out. You need to know that this environment is going to be right for you, you know, and you also need to let somebody know too that they are worth taking a risk in their life. People are so afraid nowadays to be able to see the value in themselves. And that's really honestly what we do. We let them know that like you are valued and you can take yourself to that next level.
It's this human element.
It's a human element.
I mean, it's so many times, and I know it has to be the widest, you know, part of the funnel, the pipeline. You start out with a chatbot or whatever, but at some point there has to be that human, experiential. I'm looking someone in the eye, and they're listening and understanding me, and that's your role, right?
Yeah.
Really,
From jump.
really listening and understanding, and hearing that person's situation and where their kind of goals, proclivities might lead them, right? And I love that you is usually let's walk around. I mean, this isn't just sitting at a desk. Is this like come in, let's look around?
Yeah, we
see
take
what
you on
vibe
a
with?
tour and everything, and we figure out, you know, hey, do you even like humans? You know, like, do you like to even be around customer service, or do you prefer to work by yourself?
Okay.
Because if you
Because there are
don't,
some things, yeah, like HVAC, you're going in
There
residential,
you go.
and you might need to talk.
and you got to talk to people, you
and
got to
so if
interact
you're just
with
really
people.
reserved, that might not be your role. Okay.
Exactly. And we could be saying, and you can have it in your brain. You know, I have a friend that he makes all this money as an HVAC technician. I want to do what he does, but you don't like to talk to people. You don't like to be around people, you
The
know.
whole pesky people thing.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
by me sitting here and just being a paper pusher saying, okay, I'm going to put you in HVAC, but that's not really doing you a service.
Because you want to set them up for success.
Exactly.
And that's a dialogue.
Right.
Okay. And so what I'm hearing too is this is an organization that really cares about the students.
Yes.
Absolutely.
and listens, and it's a dialogue.
Yes.
Right? Do people ever change course midstream? Do they ever find out, look, I went down the wrong path?
Sometimes.
And adjust?
Oh yeah, I just
Sometimes,
dealt
yeah.
with that. Yeah, I
And how
actually.
hard is that? Does that mean you have to start from square one, or
Well, they do have to, if they've made a choice or they feel like the right path for them, because you're interviewing them, and it really doesn't matter how I feel. I cannot tell you, no, you're not going to be a good welder. You need to go into HVAC. That's not for me to say. If you feel in your heart at that moment that that's really where you want to go, then let's go that path. Let's rock and roll. And we help them and we guide them and we get them through the process. But then once they get into it and it doesn't fit them, right? It's just not something that they thought, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And it doesn't happen very often, but there are moments that it does happen.
well, it doesn't happen very often because of the care and
Right.
listening you do at the front end, right?
But then we
Correct.
have to take a step back and say, okay, let's sit down and let's talk about it and let's talk about why you don't feel, that this isn't fitting you. Do you, because sometimes success, believe it or not, people are afraid as hell of success.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid that, oh my God, what if I am successful in this? And that's where we have to push them. But there are those very moments when they're just like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that I'm making the right decision. And so, they'll come back. And I just was working with a student and he is now going into welding. He's like, I'm more hands-on. And I knew like he was battling it from jump, and just went one route instead of the other. And now he's in the welding program and he's loving it. So, that does happen, but it has to be
say-
right for them.
Something that's really kind of profound, right?
Mhm.
And James, jump in, but people can be afraid of success.
Yes.
Right. So there is a level of therapist that you guys are bringing to this,
Yeah.
right? Where you're helping people kind of transform their entire lives, not just a skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wear many, many hats.
It sounds like you're wearing many, many hats.
We wear
people
many,
say
many
admissions
hats.
counselor on the business card, and it's like, well, it's a lot more than that.
Yes.
And
Tell,
it's
tell me
okay.
about that whole psychological process of really helping people grow as people.
Because when they come to us, again, it's a lot of times where they have been beaten up, tore down. They never probably even thought that they would even make it to see whatever age they come and sit down in front of us.
Okay.
The world is a scary place right about now. And so when they come in and we tell them we got you and we actually show up and show them that we have you, we have an entire team at 3500 Southside Boulevard, like we have an entire team. We have student services, we have career services, we have everything you need in-house. So
That's the structure a lot of people need to
Yes.
feel comfortable taking a risk and changing their life.
yes, because we have everything. It's not just the admissions, it takes a village to raise.
Yep.
And that's how it is at Tulsa Welding.
Never call it just admissions, James.
it.
I believe in both of you. We're talking to Alessandra Christie and James Walker. They are admissions counselors at the Tulsa Welding School and wear a lot more hats than just
Yes.
an application and getting people enrolled. How much of a concern are finances, and how's that conversation go? Are people coming to you saying, I'm ready to pay out of pocket, or they need financial aid? What are the options?
It's financial aid and cash options, but we do have a wonderful actual financial aid team that will assist them. And one of the good things about Tulsa Welding is there's no hidden fees. When we go through everything we do, the price that they see is the price that it is. There's never a gotcha moment. Everything
Okay.
is, we're open book. We're going to tell you exactly what it is up front so you'll know what it is. And then when we transfer you over to our financial aid team, they're the ones that will now deep dive and figure out what's your best options, whether it's financial aid or whether you do want to pay cash, because we never know, or if you have college funds and things of that nature, VA benefits or whatnot, they'll be the ones that will actually help them navigate those lines.
And they actually get to work with somebody one-on-one. A lot of times when you go to traditional schools or universities, they hand them a packet and they tell them to go fill out a FAFSA and, good luck with you.
Yeah.
And that's where people lose that momentum because they're not getting answers. They just basically filled out a form. Anybody can do that. But when you have somebody that truly cares and they sit down and they walk them through the process, and then they can guide them and they can show them all the different options that they have. It makes somebody feel so much more confident now that they have a concept of like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like this is, this is something that, is it going to actually work for my family? Because they'll have that conversation with them. So, we have specific people that are there to help guide them. Student services can help them in so many different ways. When it comes to, needing to, get their momentum going, so, they'll
Life
work with them,
events.
like when they, if they like kind of fall off the grid and it just like, getting them back in and, having someone to talk to and, helping them if their car breaks down, and
Right.
like, we can do ride shares or, talk to them about like the bus routes because there's a bus route in front of each school, like literally like boom, right there. They can, it's not an
Yeah.
issue.
So your car not starting is not an
Right.
excuse.
And
Yeah.
then,
You're taking away the objections.
exactly.
go.
But, they'll come to us, but also too, we have really, really caring instructors that, these are welders, these are HVAC technicians, these are electricians that are out there that they're not just there to just, teach you. They know, we have quite a few of our instructors that actually went through the process that were actually students at Tulsa
Okay.
Welding.
Well, that
You
creates a
know,
lot of empathy.
it
They see
does.
themselves in their students.
Exactly. So that they know like what that feeling is. And then we also have tutoring instructors as well. So it's not just the one instructor they're working with. They have other people that they can go to. We have a terrific, program director that, he has no problem like getting in there and helping and guiding a student as well. So everybody works together for this success. But the one thing we have to remind them on a daily basis, because they're going to have those bad days. They're going to have those bad weeks where they feel like the world is crumbling, to remind them that this is just a moment. This
Yeah.
is just a wrinkle. And you just got to brush it off and you got to keep moving. And we got to kick them back into gear. And,
Yeah.
but like James says, it takes a village for us to do that. And, we all work together so that we can see them at graduation and they're telling us like, Miss Allie, this is where I'm working and this is so awesome. That's the bottom line to it all. That's the
And
bottom line.
you talk about those bad days. It's never a straight line, right? It's a little bit of a jagged line, but it's going up. Is there a point in the program where you see people saying, okay, I was at the bottom of a mountain looking up at the peak and it seemed unachievable, but now I'm halfway up, 75% up, and I'm seeing that and I know I'm going to summit this thing. I know I'm going to achieve it. Is there a turning point that you observe during the process?
Yes. Truthfully, every day. Every day I have a student that come by my desk, Mr. James, I love it. Or Mr. James, I didn't know I could do this. Or Mr. James, look at my wells. Or I just did my bend out. Or Mr. James, I just landed this job that is paying me more than what I was making at McDonald's or something like that. So every single day, that's what keeps me going. The fact that at some point I enrolled Mr. Bob. And the first 3 days, Mr. Bob hated my guts because it was something new. But by the end of the first week, Mr. Bob is at my desk showing me, James, you didn't give up on me. And look, I didn't give up on myself. And then 7 months later, we were walking across the stage.
You both sound like you take a lot of ownership in the people that you help bring into the program.
Yeah.
What does it feel? And tell me some of those impact stories. What does it feel like to really see someone that you invested your care, your concern, your empathy into, and seeing those lives improve and change and that hope come in?
That's a little slice of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Like, for real. To see them actually make it. I've had students that rode their bikes the first day, 30 minutes in the rain, just to get in and never missed a day. I've had students that stayed in their cars, lost their kids in the process, but never gave up. And once they graduated and got into a job and, got into their career field, was able to go back and get their kids, have a house, have a better life. So to be a part of that, just that one chapter of their life, makes it all worth it.
I actually had a girl, she's one of my favorite students, well, graduate now. I had a girl that she was a police officer, and that just was not her gig.
Mm-hmm.
They agreed, she agreed, but then she did not know what next direction to take. And she actually lived in Orlando, which is quite a ways. And there was other schools that were out there. And then when she came out and we visited, and it took me a while to get that light bulb to come on. And she was scared. Like I would say the first 2 classes, she would literally come to my desk and just cry, just not knowing if she, was making the right moves. And I'm like, but the instructors are telling you how fantastic you are. And she was just one of those students that, she had a career.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she was going to be a police officer, and that's where her growth was. And then that bottom dropped out. And so now she's having to rethink herself.
Right. Oh, well, there's a wound there, too.
There's a wound, but at the same time, there's that uncertainty, am I making the right choices? And that was just who she was.
Mm-hmm.
But the coolest thing is every time she would progress and the more and more she would come to see me, those weren't the conversations we were having anymore. She was just like, oh, Tim told me that I was, doing this and doing that, and I was getting better, and I was better than this person. You could see that light bulb go off.
Okay.
And then, at the end of the day, she just kicked butt, and it was just so cool. But I tell you what, talking about living in her car, she literally lived in her car. Like she just, and I was like, you have a home, you could go, home. And, on the weekends, she's like, no, just
Wow.
did her thing. And literally just watching that transformation. And then she was one that ended up working for SpaceX, and it was really, really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Cool.
just so awesome. And this is coming from somebody that the first 2, 3 classes that she had, she was just like, I don't know. And then she just got better and better and better and better. But man, she lived she was there. She was there, and she, we tell our students, we understand that you have lives, and we understand that you have children, and we understand, but your growth is really up to you. Our school is open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's open from 7:30
7
in the
days a
morning
week.
till 11:30 at night, and on Saturday and Sunday it's 8 to 6. So
That's
they
a lot of
literally,
access.
yes, it is.
Yes.
So they can come in and they can practice as much as they need to, especially on the welding side. And then even on the electrical and the HVAC side, we have where they can come in on Fridays and they can come in and work one-on-one with somebody and have the tutoring that they need. And then we're also open on Saturdays for that program as well. So there's a lot of guidance, and all we're here to do is to let them know that, if you work hard, you've got to put in your percentage of it, right? We're going to give you 150%, but you got to give us something. You got to show up. Showing up is 99.99% of being able to learn and grow, right? Nothing happens in your life without risk. You have to take risk. And I don't give it how scary it is. But then when that light bulb comes off and they were like, and then we always get, damn, Mr. James, thank you. Miss Allie, you're just the best. And you get the hug and no, man, you did it. You did it, I
Yeah.
just kind of kept kicking you back into play. That's all I did,
Yeah.
So yeah, you just keep their focus and keep their direction. And then there are moments in time where you have to remind them from that very first conversation what that goal was. When you see them kind of, and they get to a point where, they're like, they start getting down because maybe that grade wasn't as good, or maybe they weren't getting those welds down in this one specific, area, and they were just, well, you suck. Well, no, you don't. That's
Yeah.
just not what you're probably gonna do, So get back out there, and it's awesome. What we do is just amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
You both seem to clearly love your jobs.
Yes, sir. One of the things that I do like to remind my students is how many 7 months passed before you actually came in and sat down with me. So what's another 7 months that's going to actually change your life?
Wow.
You gave FedEx, you gave UPS, you gave the burger joint, you gave the wing joint, you gave them all you had.
All the warehouses.
Every single time. You was down there early in the morning trying to go to the work pools, job pool places to get a job that's going to pay you right then. But then tomorrow you got to do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put all your energy into that for however many times, I need you to give me your all when you come here. 7 months. And those 7 months really does change their lives.
And you got to be inspired too by some of the resilience. Somebody who will, pedal through rain half hour to
Yes.
get there on time, live in a car and come in 7 days a week and avail themselves of that resource.
Yep.
I mean, it's got to be inspiring to witness the transformations that you're making happen, helping to part of the team that's making it happen.
Yes. It feels good. It really does feel good. We like to say around the campus that it's missionary work, you know, like it really does feel good to help students, to help individuals get from one chapter to the next.
And Allie, you were talking about this woman that you were helping kind of get through that transition. Is part of the discussion, and this is just based on the stereotype of the trades being very male, do you have to give special attention or give special, I guess, a special sales pitch to the women who come to you that this career path is accepting to women? And
I think that nowadays, I've noticed that there's more women that are coming saying, I can do the same thing, right?
Okay. So it's less than it used to be?
Less than it used to be. I don't feel that they come to me with the concept that they can't do it because, you know, their grandfather did it or their dad did it, or, you know, they have friends that have done it, and, you know, they're not happy sitting behind a desk and just answering phone calls, and they, you know, they're very hands on themselves. And so, you know, I've had one of the senior instructors one time that had told me that every single one of the female students were kicking butt, and he didn't know what was going on with his male students, but his females were like rocking and rolling. So women in trades, man, they're, you know, they can do it. They have the tenacity.
Trades are for everybody.
They are for everybody. Absolutely everybody. You know, it's something when you see somebody that can actually work with their hands and they feel that they're creating something. And we remind them too that with the type of trades that we teach at Tulsa, we don't teach everything. We really don't. What we teach is what makes the world go round. We wouldn't have our hospitals, and we wouldn't have our cargo, our import, our export. We wouldn't have, I mean, the pharmaceutical companies, you have your air conditioning, your electrical, like that. Everything we teach is global. It's a global sound. It's something that is so necessary, and it needs a human hand, you know. So, you know, to me, to be an iron worker, to be a professional welder, that is one of the most prestigious industries to be in. And I always tell my students, you need to hold your head up high, because that cancer treatment center is because a welder built it. And, you know, the electrical that's involved in that, and all the machinery and everything, and the AC and just, it's because they're there, right? I mean, we live in a very humid, this is dry, you know.
It's a dry heat.
It's
here.
very dry
Yes.
heat. And I'm from California originally, so I'm used to dry heat. But when you go to Florida, it's a very humid heat.
Yeah.
And you will sell a lung or a leg or a limb for some AC, you know? So yeah, you know, they are truly, and we also, we have an amazing program. We have a line worker program. And those guys are true saviors, you know? You know, like when disaster hits,
Especially
they're the ones that
hurricanes
go,
and, yeah.
absolutely. So, it's exceptional and exciting to see that, you know, skilled tradesmen and women, you know, are continuing to build America. They really are.
And I know
they are the forefront.
I know you was asking about the women. So I've had captains of cheerleaders, like the captain of the cheerleading squad. I had a young lady that was a phlebotomist literally walk away and come and become a welder. I've had a young lady whose father basically cussed me out. You're taking my nurse away from me. But by the end of the entire program, hey, what type of welder does she need? I want to surprise her with a welder. I want to get her a truck so she can have a welding rig and all this other stuff. And I'm like, sir, you do remember you call me every name other than James and admissions, right?
Well, you know, his daughter's taking a risk, and that risk, you know, kind of brought him along with it.
He loves it because
and now so in other words, you had two switches on that one.
Yes. And it's one of those things where it's no matter your color, your sets, any of that, your beliefs, none of that, right? There are 4 entities in the world that the world can't do without. That's welding, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. We teach 3 of them. Get in where you fit in, change your life, make something happen, because you can go anywhere and do it. Yeah. Whether or not you like America, whether you want to go to Kalamazoo, I don't care. you still gonna need it. So make it do what it do.
All right, Kalamazoo's a great town. The phlebotomist wanted to get into another vein.
There you go.
All right, that dad joke was terrible. We want to go into a little bit of a speed round here. What is either one of you? Just jump in as something comes to mind. What is something that always makes you laugh that a brand new prospective student comes in and asks, and even if you've heard it 1,000 times, it still just kind of brings a chuckle to your face?
How many times I'm gonna get burned, or if or on the electrical side, Mr. James, am I gonna get electrocuted?
Right.
Burned, electrocution, valid fears,
Right.
but safety first.
Safety first.
All right. If you had to survive a day on campus with only 3 tools in your personal toolbox, what would those tools be?
Ooh.
Now, that question, that's a tricky question. Are you talking about like us being like skilled trades, or are you talking about us being admissions reps?
I'm talking in your role.
In our role.
In your role at the school.
Okay.
In admissions, what are the tools that you touch every day? And by the way, these tools can be empathy. Listen, whatever. What are the tools in your toolbox metaphorical, that you use every day?
Every day, that's easy for me. A phone,
A phone?
a list of people to call,
Your list.
and a cup of coffee.
All right. Cheers. All
Yep,
right.
cheers
here we
to
go.
you.
I
Yes.
can't
I
get
don't
through a
know.
day without it.
For
James,
me,
same?
it would have to be my laptop, of course, because I can do everything through the laptop. A clear mind, because God knows what's going to come across the phone. And the internet, truthfully. That's it. I don't drink coffee, so
How do you survive without it, James?
my students keep me going. That is my energy, because you never know what you're about to get when you get somebody on the phone.
Yeah, I imagine like no 2 days are alike.
Never. It is never a dull moment.
All right, here's one. In a campus showdown, and I don't know what the showdown would entail.
Okay.
Think of it as Survivor Island or something. Who wins? Welders, the HVAC crew, or the electrician crew?
I would say electrical.
Electrical. Why?
Because my HVAC crew or my welders can't do anything until my electrical crew do what they need to do. So if they wanted to play dirty, they can cut the power and make them suffer. So I would say electrical.
I would say welding, because they actually built this building,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
They actually built that building, and yeah. So yeah,
And they're crafty.
and they're crafty. Yeah. So
Yeah. You don't want to
they're
go up
creators.
against the welders.
They're artists and they're creators with purpose. So
Yes. So much art is welded
Yes.
art too.
yes.
Well, this has been fascinating. The way that you actually change lives must have such an impact on each of you, and it comes through. And the fact that you are bringing people into a support system and really listening and practicing genuine empathy, you've conveyed all of that today. And so I commend you on a continued job well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
You really are changing lives.
Thank you.
That's got to feel good.
Feels great.
It does. It does.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Skilled Nation. Big thank you to our guests from the Tulsa Welding School Jacksonville campus, Alessandra and James, for giving us an inside look at how admissions counselors help students take that first step into the trades. Now listen, if today's conversation got you thinking about your own next step, well, visit us at tws.edu or rsi.edu to learn more about programs, career paths, and how to get started. Remember, every skilled career begins with a single choice to learn something real, to make something that lasts. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and of course, join us next time as we meet more people who are shaping the future of America's workforce. This is Skilled Nation, where hard work builds strong futures.